educators, timekeepers, all, I urge you to put on your thinking caps as we journey on a roller coaster. Just imagine a world without boundaries. I hope you're ready to be thrilled, excited, and exclusively educated as I decimate any myth that would force you to believe. Educators, timekeepers, all, I urge you to put on your thinking caps as we journey on a roller coaster. Just imagine a world without boundaries. I hope you're ready to be thrilled, excited, and exclusively educated as I decimate any myth that would like to make you believe the world is any better without boundaries. For when we imagine, we shall reach the consensus. If what we imagine is to become a reality, will it aid in the betterment of society? Stop right there. Before you join me on this roller coaster ride, you must be informed of what boundaries and limits are. As adapted from the Cambridge Dictionary, a boundary is the limit of what one considers acceptable behavior, while in the Free Dictionary, imagine means to think, make a guess, and conjecture. Did you know that the concept of boundaries dates back to a time older than our traceable ancestors? How so? Sue Bolin, a writer for Pro Ministries, reminds us that the concept of boundaries is rooted in nature, like God himself. God defines himself as a distinct, separate being who is responsible for himself. If we imagine a world without boundaries, we must imagine the world without God. We must imagine the world without the penalty of hell and reward of heaven. And substantially, we must imagine the world without the gateway of Jesus Christ. But religion aside, what benefits do boundaries have? The feeling of safety, protection, and hope. A study conducted by the American Society of Landscape Architects shows the effects of a fence around a playground and the end-to-end impact it had on preschool children. The children were taken to two playgrounds, one with a barrier, the other without. At the first playground, the children huddled around their teacher in fear and were not willing to explore the territory around them. While at the second playground that had the barrier, the children were able to separate from their caregivers, acknowledging that they were in a safe environment within the limits of the fence. This study alludes to the fact that there is a limitless freedom within a boundary. This train ride has now been halted, for upon further inspection, we once lived in a time without boundaries. The 10th of December, 1948, that is the date when the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was adopted. What does this mean? This means that until then, there were no significant boundaries under which countries were to abide by the status of maintaining the well-being of their fellow human beings. And what was the result of this? Slavery! In 1494, Christopher Columbus arrived in Hispaniola. There were 12 million tailors residing there. By the 15th century, there were only 12,000 remaining as a result of long work hours, inhumane treatment, and a blatant disregard for their well-being. No law took into consideration how the tailors were to be treated, as they were forcibly enslaved and the fruits of their wealth shipped off to the motherland. The majority of first world countries gained the beginning of their wealth through such exploitive measures. A lack of boundaries present right then and there. How can I prove to you how boundaries have positively impacted the betterment of society? Let me see. Through laws. According to the Overseas Security Advisory Council, in 2017, Jamaica's homicide rate was 56 per 100,000. In 2018, the homicide rate dropped to 47 per 100,000 due to the Ministry of National Security implementing the 5-pillar strategy for crime prevention and citizen security, coinciding with the Jamaica Offences Against Persons Act 1861, page 9, section 10, which states, and I quote, "No punishment or forfeiture shall be incurred by any person who shall kill another by misfortune or in his homicide or defense, which is considered excusable homicide," end quote. the Jamaica Customs Agency, in collaboration with local and international partners, stem human trafficking and minimize the gun for drugs trade, food for guns trade, as well as illegal imports, in order to better protect Jamaican citizens and the world at large from the harmful effects of these trades. When you create an institution, the levels of authority and boundaries need to be established. Robert H. Shaw. No. If we are to imagine a world without boundaries, we must imagine the world without an institution which creates boundaries. That institution is the government. So no government, no laws, no boundaries equals, you guessed it, chaos. Without boundaries, would life be, as Thomas Hobbes famously said, and I quote, nasty, brutish, and short? End quote. I certainly believe so. I have presented the data. It is now up to you to theorize, analyze, and conclude. It is a capital mistake to theorize before one has data. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. I'm sure we have all reached the same hypothesis, so you can unbuckle your seatbelts. For if the world without boundaries is to become a reality, it will never aid in the betterment of society. That has certainly been proven right here today.